Institute for hosting this event on the World Youth Skill Day as well. Today we are celebrating that in terms of bringing out more empowerment and more things for the youth, right, from the UN side as well. So I congratulate each and everyone who is there, who is in the session and who are here to understand more on the incubation side. I hope that my voice is clear to you. Unfortunately,
Yes,
because
sir.
of
Your
some,
voice is.
yeah. So I'll just share my screen and I have drafted this whole, I have tried to bring out this complete session in two ways. One 15-20 minute of a small presentation.
Yeah.
Those slides might be high, but I'll try to skip few which are not relevant to the topic. And this presentation I have uploaded already on the Google Drive. You can, I'll share that link in the chat itself and people can download it from there. After that, we'll also have some interactive questions related to the incubation startup and how all these kind of challenges, opportunities around it, right? So I'll just quickly share my presentation. Feel free to let me know in case there is any network issue or so. I am connected with my mobile device because of the power crisis over here. But I hope that you guys will be able to hear me properly and also to see the presentation in good way. I'll just quickly start that out. I'm switching my camera off because of the bandwidth issue. But let me
Sure,
know
sir.
if you have any challenges.
Okay, sir.
I hope that this is visible to all.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Yeah. So the topic which I was given is on the incubation opportunities for student, startup, and faculties, which is really one of the very interesting topic in today's scenario. Because when I see 2021 or when I see 2022, both the years had wonderful opportunities, wonderful scenarios in terms of the impact Indian startup ecosystem had created. We all have heard about it. The way 21 has given the unicorns or wait in terms of the startups. We are already in very wonderful shape as of now. Country is growing at very exponentially toward this all segment, and that's where people are moving from research to innovation as well. So I'm very happy to share my views around it. Feel free to put your questions in the chat, and I'll try to wrap this presentation in 20 to 25 minutes, and then we will try to go for the question answers directly. I also congratulate each and everyone on the World Youth Skill Day today, which is being celebrated by UN worldwide to celebrate the youths today. So before that, I'll just quickly give a brief about Headstart. If you have heard about it, this is an organization which was started in 2007. It's a volunteer-driven group by legal structure. It's a non-for-profit organization. We are having presence in 30 plus chapters across the country. Plus we have two international chapters as well. One is in Finland, one is in Germany. We do have wonderful support, and whatever we have achieved in the last 14-15 years, we always feel that this has been because of the support we have received from various partners, be it from the government partner or from the corporate or let's say from the incubator side. We always had wonderful support from that angle, and today also, if I say on the startup ecosystem, we definitely have wonderful support from all these agencies. And that's where I feel that today we are in very right position in terms of a startup angle. And we definitely can say that this year or the last 2 years have been wonderful for us. Just yesterday, or I guess in the last week, we have touched the 74,000 of marks of the startup in Startup India portal as well. The recognitions which have been received by our startups. So when I see this from the quantitative side, definitely it's a huge number. In just last few years, we have reached this particular milestone of having 74,000 plus of a startup, which is really a wonderful numbers, really an impactful number. Also in terms of unicorns, we already have crossed 100, and I guess last week we had touched the 104th startup as a unicorn. And today only, I guess, again, we had one more startup which has came as a unicorn called Fire, which is a blockchain-based community platform. But what these numbers gives us satisfaction is that people are trusting more on the side when we talk about the startup. When we talk on this, yeah. Any questions, please feel free to put on the chat. When I say that this is an year of a startup, it's not just based on the data which is coming from the valuation side. For example, today our combined valuation of all the startup is almost 333 billion. But if you see from the angle of 2004 to 2014, the combined valuation or the fund which have been generated by all these startups were almost 144 billion dollar, which is literally a good numbers. These all are numbers. This is just to give you an idea, to give you a glimpse that how effectively and how exponentially Indian startup ecosystem have been growing. And this is not just in India, but if you see from the angle of US, China, or from the Israel angle as well, all the all the major startups which have grown has happened in the last few years only. For example, in 2021, India had added almost 20.
60 kilometers.
I just, if you want, you can unmute people over there. But yeah, in terms of 2021, definitely this was the year when we have seen exponential growth in the ecosystem. For example, we had almost 46 of the startups which has came as a unicorn, and the same data has even been shown in the US. For example, almost out of 489 startups, 275 plus startups became unicorn in 2021 only, and similar has happened in China or in Israel. But again, in that rate, that race also, India is way ahead of other countries like Netherlands, Germany, or for example, Switzerland. So that's where I feel that definitely we are in good position. This is a data on the unicorn or on the silicon side. It is estimated that by 2025, we'll be having almost 250 plus unicorn. And this data gives us also one more important fact, that the jobs which will be created by these startups and these unicorns will be touching out almost 35 million plus of the employability. And that's where people say that this is an era of the startup. I'll just quickly move toward the important slides. I'll just skip those which I feel is not so relevant. But of course, you can download this presentation from the link which is on the first page and as well as in the last one. When I see universities or the institutions, for example, engineering colleges and all, I always feel and believe that these are hub of opportunities for the startup as well as for the innovation. And why? That's because most of the important components which are needed or required for any startup are basically coming out from that side. So 70 to 80% of segment, like for example, knowledge and for example, knowledge, research, infrastructure, mentoring, and everything is already over there. So this particular thing gives us a more idea that yes, definitely there is huge scope over there, and that's where even, for example, today when I see from the angle of the potential this university ecosystem hold, it's huge over there. So when I try to differentiate it from the university angle, we already have it from the English side that ecosystem is evolving around these three segments. One is definitely from the corporate side where government or startups are getting supported. But the second one is where private universities are there. These are basically like, for example, incubators and accelerators which are coming there. And then third one is from the central and state university side, again from where we do see a lot of innovation is coming. And then today, UGC and AICTE both have played wonderful role over there by bringing out innovation and entrepreneurship to the epicenter of the education. In the last, if I say on the last 1 decade, almost 79% of growth we have seen into the academic institutions. And this is particular reason because of that we have seen a huge number of incubators also, for which we'll be having discussion in today question answer round as well, plus the startups which are coming from there. But when we talk on the key enabler side, like why this particular growth is happening in India, this is again a good question as well as a thought kind of thing over there. But the main reason perhaps is because of the technological revolutions which we have seen. We call this generation a generation of millennials, where we are having almost 440 plus millions plus internet subscriber, and this particular generation is having such a huge data resources that the technology is at your hand based on the mobiles and all. The second enablers, which is basically incubators and accelerators, again, the number has grown very drastically over there. When the first policy was started in 1955, even I was not much aware about it, but the first policy on incubation was actually started in 1955, and since then, in the last 2 decades itself, we had seen a wide growth over there, right? Today, when I see the stakeholder side, again, if you see on the incubators, major of the incubators are coming from the academia. Almost 95 to 97% incubators are there. But then the segment is because of the reason that government has put literally a wonderful support over there, and that's where it has helped to shift the perception. The second important challenge which any incubator or startup face is the funding. But then this funding problem has been sorted out by the VCs and micro VC funding, and from the angel investors, which has grown again. Like today, we have almost 700 plus of the VC funds in the India, and this have helped the formation of the complete ecosystem at that particular rate. So question comes, why today we are talking about incubators, or why it is happening? If you see based on the data which we have in the which we see over there, when we started the first policy, which was basically in 1955, since then, if we see in the last 2 decades itself, we have seen a 15x growth over there. And this again have been proved by the number itself. Most probably till 1985 or 86, nobody had heard about incubators, right? And that's where the first technology business incubator come into the picture. And again, the major reason was because India was an economy which was heavily relying on the MSME segment. But if I see today, we have moved that particular duration from MSME to startup side. So this is some data which gives little bit more insight on the incubator side. Also, the perception where government is heavily backing out all the incubators, so like support in terms of the fund, support in terms of mentoring, as well as opening up of the doorways and gateways for the startups which are coming from these incubators. This is one stats which gives you a little bit understanding of the incubator space, which has again grown in just 1 or 2 years at such particular pace. Similarly, if I see from the institution side, in the last, for example, this data is again of 2021 and 2022. In last 10 years, the academic growth was like almost 79 to 80%. And UGC itself says that almost 4 CR plus of the students are coming there. But this 4 CR, if you see just a conversion rate of even if let's say less than 10% or something like that, the impact is massive over there. And that's where we need to tap that particular potential as well. And this is where startups and incubators from the academia comes into the picture. Some of the key pillars for the startup growth in India, I have tried to bring that into 3 forums. For example, when we ask what we need as an incubator or what we need as a startup growth, right? Major of the questions always ends up having the support from the investor side and the fund side. And today is being provided by investors also, apart from the government side. But this mobilization has happened very quickly over there. And today we have private equity funds, we have angel VCs fund as well as government funds, which is helping the complete ecosystem at much good pace. But the support which is again coming from the policy and state level side is also playing a very wonderful role there. Back 5 years back, if you see, there was fund, but it was majorly for the research side, from the R&D side. But in the last 5 to 7 years, we have seen that there has been a major shift from the policy side, and it has moved toward the innovation side, toward the startup side. And this has definitely added a huge value in terms of bringing out this 74,000 startups today, which is like creating a massive ecosystem for the whole domain. Some of the checklists which we feel that are very important for any startups include these. This is like what I feel that from the 8 segment I have categorized it. But if you see, this is not just only for the startup, but also very important for the incubator side. Now, if as a startup, I feel that I want to build something, all these 8 checklists are easily available in my university. And when I say that in university, these are available, that means that this is the time period, for example, when I'm in my graduation, post-graduation, or in my PhD, this is the time period when I can basically build out a wonderful tech-based company or even a non-tech company. Because all the 8 important parameters or checklists are easily available over there. For example, I definitely can have wonderful founders, co-founder, which are maybe coming from my university itself, or let's say from the other university, which again can be into a hub and spoke model. I'll discuss that part as well. Similarly, if I have to do some survey, you already have more than 1,000, 2,000 people in your campuses or in your state from the academic side. The results are wonderful over there. You definitely can get wonderful support, wonderful feedback, inputs, and everything. And that's where it's important to understand that for any startup to success or to test out if my startup will be successful or not, for any founder or innovator, university could be one of the best space or best place. I'll just quickly move toward the T5 framework, which has been even started by Headstart. We have been supporting out various incubators in the country. And these are some of the 5 frameworks, or we call it the 7 pillars, where we have been supporting out incubators. And this particular framework is also very important for incubators to execute, to make it more sustainable, more successful, more founder friendly in a way. So if you see, all these 7 parameters are something which makes particular incubator founder friendly plus innovation friendly. And if let's say we execute it properly, there are high chances for any incubators to grow drastically over there. Question comes why and how basically these all programs, or let's say how these incubators impact the stakeholders, or why or how it happens over there. In 2016, when first startup policy came from the AICT side, this definitely have helped a lot of the students and a lot of startups to come out of from the incubator side, from the academic side. And these are again some 8 stakeholders, which basically makes any incubator one of the best in terms of the sustainability or in terms of the result orientation as well. Be it in terms of the fund from the corporate, government, or from the VC side, or be in terms of mentoring from the professional, or to provide the support to early stage founders over there. For any incubator, let's say if it is coming from academia or from any other side, these are some of the segment which we feel makes it like one of the best one, and this could be one of the USP for them. Also, like the best practices which can be executed by these incubators over there. So perhaps this slide could play a good role in terms of understanding the policy segment for my incubator. What should I give my startup to make it one of the best in my particular region? We even call it, like, let's say if you can bring out some kind of accreditation and ranking framework for your student, or for example, credit-based system for your student. So these are some of the USPs for any incubator. If let's say it have these 6 segments, definitely it can make a huge contribution over there. I'll just quickly move this out, but this is something the program side. For example, in any incubator, what do we need? So these are 9 programs which usually Headstart also do with various partners, with various organizations. But if let's say we are able to execute even 3 or 4 out of them successfully, the chances for any startups to grow or to become successful are very huge over there. And this have been proven mechanism which we have been doing with various partners. So I have been asked by many of the people, like, what are the important factors or programs for an incubator to become successful? I feel that if let's say as an incubator we are able to run some of these programs, this will add huge value toward our startup, because ultimately it's all about our startup which are getting incubated in our centers over there. Some of the best incubator, if you see, are coming from the university itself. And when I say from the university, because again they have huge infrastructure over there, they have huge mentors over there, be in terms of the professors which are teaching them, the technical and the technological knowledge which they have, the IP they possess, the research which they have. All these segments are already in our incubation centers, already in our university, and that's why if any incubator is coming from university, the chances for them to grow and to become high are very good over there. Plus, in 2021, if I see in the last 5 years, again we have had wonderful support from the enablers as well, be it NASCOM Foundation, Vadvani, Headstart, or other organizations like this Fund over there. So these have been adding a lot value there. Some of the incubators I have listed over there, they all are well funded by Atal Incubation Centers. For example, if some of you are from Bhopal, I believe that There are already RNTU Incubation Center is there, which again is one of the Headstart hub as well, heavily supported by DST, Atal Innovation Mission, and by the Startup India Seed Fund as well. Similarly, in Indore, we have EIC Prestige there. We have in Bangalore, EIC NDRI is over there. These are some of the incubators, which are most of them, almost out of these 18, 15 are already into in university system or in the institution system. So the basic idea is incubators mostly come from that side and they are able to provide good support over there. But when I see the startups or when I see the innovation, which is definitely coming from our academic side, it's time for us to move that innovation by bringing out a good execution strategy and by making them out as a startup over there. This is one of the very wonderful quote which I have seen in STPI, Software Technology Park of India. If you see, the definition is very, very clear. It's not to disrespect anyone over there with the words, but it's basically to give you an idea that as a startup, I need to come up with the strategy of execution over there. Unless I have that, it doesn't make a sense over there. And that's where, as a startup, I need to be very clear on how I will execute it out, right? So this is something over there that tech to commercialization is also needed. Ayush, let me know if we are on the time, and I'll just try to put one more very interesting slide for the people who are here. I was told that faculties would be joining this session, and this particular slide I have brought it for them only because many of the faculties have heard all the time about TRL. When I see TRL, people have asked me, or you might have even asked, how do we define TRL, right? What is TRL? For every individual, it's from perception to perception. For one, it can be like 1, for other, it can be TRL2. But we need to understand it from the angle of actual definition. TRL is not something which has came from the government side. This is also a very interesting point to know over there. It was started by a group of the technological or the research and technology organization, basically to bring out a good policy reform over there and to understand how my innovation is there, at what level my innovation is there. It came for the aeronautical department, but slowly, it has moved toward every segment. And today, the complete innovation is being defined by the TRL scale. So if you see, I hope that you have seen these 9 segments over there from TRL1 to TRL9. If you see it from that angle, when I talk about my basic technological research, that if somebody is at very ideation stage, it always go from TRL1 to TRL2. TRL1 is basically when I have an idea. I'm assuming that many of you guys are from the engineering segment, and you all are well aware about, let's say, microcontrollers, for example, diode, registers and all. But let's say I want to build something in my lab. I just have an idea, can I make it out? The moment I formalize my idea, the moment I say that now I have a concept of it, I talk about my TRL, and this is basically also about the excellence of my idea. This is about the science. The science where I say that, okay, I have an idea now, and it is something which I want to work. Means I already have moved to one scale where I'm not just talking randomly about any thought over there. So once I have observed the basic principle around it, once my concept is ideated, that is when I say that I am at TRL1. And this basic technological research, when moved toward the next level, which is basically to check that technology, if it will be executed or not, if it will work or not, if my circuitry is good or not. For example, I want to build a tech-based component or something like that. If my circuitry components are proper, can I make it into another level? So that's where my TRL2 comes into the picture. When somebody decides what I want to make out of it, when I decide that how my complete product will look like. So this circuitry component, when I define it out, when I define the feasibility importantly, that's where I say that I am at TRL2 when I know that if this will happen or not. And this particular segment is also about my laboratory research when I'm doing something in my lab. So basically, this is an idea from moving from my ideation to my lab. If I see on the TRL3, this is again about checking out that technology, if it will happen or not. So basically, this is about validating my technology in my lab. And if I am doing multiple experiments around it, and if somehow I'm able to prove it out, I'm able to validate that out. So that's when I say that I am at TRL3, and this is where my technology will be like getting developed over there. So this phase from TRL3 to TRL5 is my technological development phase, and this is also very important phase because most of the research happens around it only. Most of the people achieve this segment, and they make out the technology, but they do not go beyond that. So if you see, most of our research has always happened around the technological development side. Similarly, on the four side, it's more when I bring out my first prototype. When I say that now my fundamental circuit is working out, I have a prototype which is actually working in my lab. So if I have something like that, I can always say that my innovation is at TRL4. When I move from the lab or from my working prototype to into real environment conditions, that's when I say that I am at TRL5. And for my TRL5, it's also important because this is my between TRL5 to TRL7. I'm at such particular duration which we call value of death in terms of technological commercialization level. So if you see in TRL point, this particular segment from 5 to 7 is basically value of death because of the reason that most of the research ends over here only. Most of the time, we are not able to successfully convert that technology into a successful product. And this is where I say that maximum of academia research goes over there, and maximum time government basically supports us for that kind of work because it's heavily a risk factor is attached over there. Also, we call it the demonstration time when we are demonstrating our technologies. Similarly, TRL6, again, I already have written it over there as well. It's about demonstrating my technology into the environment conditions. The system development. Now my technology is proven by TRL6. Now I want to make it as a product. So before that product formation, if I'm able to achieve that as a system, that prototype into a system, that's where I say that I am in TRL7 level. And this is where basically I convert my technology into a system. TRL 8 and 9 are my basically final product in terms which can go into the market. But TRL 8 talks about regulations and TRL 9 talks about the final certifications from the government side, let's say, or from the regulatory side. So if you see, this scale is basically to define your science and to define that if this product has been commercialized or if it is at that stage where it can get commercialized. This is my another slide which gives you more idea how this TRL gives you help you to evaluate your innovation or let's say to find out your partners. But I'll just quickly move that out. If let's say you guys have any questions or confusions or let's say want to discuss around it, we can go back around it. These are some of the innovations which I wanted to highlight. When I say highlight, these are some of the products which I have been working as a researcher, as a innovator, or as a co-founder for one of the startup, where we have built out few technologies, which was at TRL 3-4 level, and some of them were also demonstrated, for example, in TRL 7 and all. But today, if I see this segment, they have been supported by government as well. For example, few of products out of these this RAHE project, for example, if I say have been supported by STPI as well as Department of Telecommunication by a fund of around 60 lakh. So that kind of fund we can generate if we are able to demonstrate our technology successfully over there. And today, the best part is government is very keen and very cooperative over there. They do understand that the first fund or to convert my innovation from my research to technology is something where they have to play a key role. This is data on the IP side. Again, I think you all are aware that maximum of IPs are coming from the academia side. But it's also an interesting fact that we are in top 7 countries today in terms of filing of patent as well as in terms of getting the grants for it. But in the last 2-3 years, again, this whole scenario has been changed, and the people who are filing patents are very huge in terms of the numbers over there. Funding is again something where people or the investors are trusting the people from the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Like for example, if some of you are in Bhopal and you have a thought process that people only found Bangalore or let's say Delhi, this is not true in terms of the startup scenario today. If you see in just 1 or 2 years, complete scenario has like changed over there. From 15 to 20, this data gives you the scenario how fund has changed from tier 2 to tier 3 cities. And today, maximum of investors are ready to invest in particular tier 2 and tier 3 cities majorly. Some of the very successful story, if you see, all these were the startup which was from the academia side only. They were in their colleges, they were in their universities or institutes when they were building it out. So all of these were in their academia side. But the second part of this particular slide, like for example, Paytm, OYO, and CRAD also talks about the mindset. It is not just only about IITs or let's say for the top national importance institutes. Paytm, OYO, CRAD, all these founders do not hold any degree from the IITs, right? And that's where we see that today it's more about having a scenario which is basically based on the work we do. So we are coming from that angle now. I'll just try to put my slide in end in next 1 or 2 minutes, but this is about the fund, a message which I wanted to bring here from the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji as well. We are trying to create an ecosystem which is based on mantra of the youth, by the youth, for the youth. And when government says it, this says particular message, it is not just about a message. It is also coming from the fact that so much of fund has been given by government to basically bring out such a wonderful ecosystem in the country. These are 2 points. Again, Startup India Seed Fund. I must say that if you are as a startup or if you are an incubator, do apply for it. For a startup, the conditions are very clear that you need to be less than 2-year-old and apply for it. Headstart have been supporting multiple incubators around it. Let's say if you need any support, we'll be more than happy around it. Go for it. One of the best scheme and initiative by Government of India to basically bring out support for the early stage startups over there. And the second one is coming from the Atal Innovation Mission. Again, a huge fund has been given to all the segment, be it individual startups or incubators. And perhaps one of the biggest move by the government in terms of bringing out the support for the ecosystem. So that's where I'll try to end my slide, and I just hope that the information which I has collected for this presentation will add some value to you guys. I'm open for the questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer anything.
Yes,
You
sir.
guys can.
We have some questions. Actually, some faculties is, write it in a chat box. So first is what makes a business incubator successful?
Yeah. So I'll just quickly put the link for the presentation as well, so that if somebody want to download. But yeah, please, can you repeat this particular question again? Are you still there?
What make us business incubator successful?
Yeah. So see, if you see business incubators, or let's say not just only business incubator, any kind of incubators, right? The first success lies with my startups. If I have good startup, if I'm able to make good exits over there, let's say, can I provide the support which makes some successful stories from the startup side? For example, if you see, many of the unicorn in 2021 were from the IT Delhi, right? And that's where in 1993, when FITT, one of the incubator which was set up by IIT Delhi, today we see that as a huge success over there. Similarly, if you see T-Hub or let's say IIIT Hyderabad, why they are successful? Because they have huge successful stories over there. So my success story for any incubator is definitely based on the outcome of the startup which are coming over there. How many startups I'm able to provide support, and the support which is coming over there. It can be a mentoring support, it can be funding support, it can be infrastructure. Let's say some of the startups who are working on deep tech, let's say in Bhopal, and they want to have a lab in there. Can one of the incubator in Bhopal provide them that support? Because of course it's not possible for IIT Delhi to give them R&D lab over there, right? So the definition for it is again of course different to different, but it's majorly the support which I am able to give to my startup, and based on that support, if they are able to success over there, if they are able to achieve the target which they have set for themselves, And if in future, also there is one very interesting definition of success for incubator is sustainability. Can my incubator become sustainable in certain time period? Because when I see it from the angle of incubator, major of them are heavily funded by Government of India, be it in terms of fund from DBT, or let's say from Atal Innovation Mission, or let's say from the DST, which is a fund of around 10 CR. Most of the initiative have fund of 5 CR to 10 CR. But this has certain limit over there. It is for 5 years. After 5 years, I need to have fund from my sustainability, from my activities. So if I'm able to make my incubator sustainable, definitely it is also one of the good success factor for my business incubator.
Yeah, sir, we have one another question I want to ask. What are the top challenges incubator faces these days?
Again, a very nice question in terms of the challenges incubator faces itself. Of course, we do have challenges in terms of the startups. But as an incubator, there are 3 to 4 biggest challenge. Of course, one of the first challenge for any incubator is in terms of the infrastructure. Of course, in institutional incubator, this challenge is not there because they do have infrastructure over there. But again, the R&D labs are not that level. For example, if I see it from the angle of biotech or let's say DTech based startup, other than the fintech or other than the SaaS based startup, right? All the incubators need heavy resources, heavy infrastructure, heavy R&D lab. Of course, it is available in the research institutes, but that is again having certain limitations over there. So as an incubator, I feel that one of the first challenge, many of good business incubators, which are in deep tech or into the biotech, health tech, this kind of segment have the R&D lab. Second problem or second challenge is, of course, about the startup. The pipeline of a startup itself is one of the biggest challenge for them. Now, when I say pipeline, it's because of the reason that a startup also may not have an idea that we have this kind of incubators over there. Today, when I say that we have 800 plus incubators in the country, and in 2021, I guess there was a report that out of that, almost 150 to 200 were supported by Government of India. But how many of them, how many of them are like startups are aware about it, right? Many of them are working in silos, means we do not have an idea where they are. So this challenge of awareness of these incubator is also a big challenge, and that's why they are not able to get the pipeline. Third biggest challenge, which I feel for any incubator, is of course the fund, because fund is limited. So that means they have to raise their own funds, they have to make it their own sustainability and all. And the fourth biggest challenge for any incubator is to have a team over there. The retention rate, which we have seen with various multiple incubators, be it AIC or let's say TBI, the team usually moves out very fast over there. So putting out a team on hold for a good time period itself is a big challenge. Let's say if I have a good team, can I hold them for there for a longer time period? So this retention rate is very high over there. And that's where I feel that these are 4 biggest challenges for any incubators. One is R&D infrastructure, second one is team, third one is the fund, and fourth one is the pipeline of the startups.
Thank you, sir. We have one more another questions. Student startup or pre-incubation or incubation, what are the some of the best practice around it?
So usually, for example, in my presentation also, you might have seen that I have talked about many of the incubators are in institutes, and again in UGC regulation in 2016, which was like AICT regulation, and then UGC also came up with the policy of bringing out support of 1% like institutional fund to these kind of thing, right? What happens that major of students are want to do something from their tech side, from their innovation side, right? But they have very less idea. They are good with the tech execution, but they might not have a good understanding of legal side, business side, execution side, for example, outreach side and all. So and when you say that a student startup, pre-incubation, incubation, these are majorly segment of early stage startup, right? So at that stage, it's very important for me to understand what kind of ideas I want to work, right? I might have 10 multiple ideas, but which one of them will be successful? Finding out that best or product fit is very difficult over there, and that's where incubation plays very key role by having good mentors over there. So best practices for any of these side is to figure out like which one of my idea will work, which one of the mentor will be able to good for me. Again, it's very interesting to know that many of the time we have mentors who are not like good fit for me, but we just accept them based on the profile they have, right? It would be better if I find a good mentor of my domain or who can add some value to my startup over there. So these are some of the segments where, as a student, I have to keep in mind. Also, it's very important to understand which incubator will be good for me. Now there is a huge list, so it should not be something like just to apply, and if I'm getting selected, then go for it. We should definitely evaluate if this particular incubator is good for me or not, because it might be a very good incubator, but it is possible that that incubator is working on a different domain. For example, it could be possible that the incubator is working in, let's say, deep tech, but my idea is into SaaS, right? So definitely, I need to check out over there, and I need to go with different incubators over there. So these are some of the practices which, as a startup, I should follow actually over there.
Yes, one more questions I have, sir. Uh, Sorry to. Next is a hub and spoke model, something regulated by the UGC as well. Could you please explain it bit, if you
Yeah.
have an idea? Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So hub and spoke model, I think UGC came up with this particular regulation in after 2016 of EICT policy itself. And recently I had an opportunity to speak with the UGC chairman, Professor Jagdish Kumar sir, during one of the session. And that's where I came to know about the hub and spoke model also. Many of the institutes today do follow it out. This is where basically, let's say for example, in university, like in Uttarakhand, we have HNB Central Gadwal University, under which we have almost 150 plus institutes over there. And similarly, we have Uttarakhand Technical University, where again we have more than 30-50 institutes over there. So these are subsectors of that particular universities. Let's say in Bhopal also, there might be a university under which 100 institutes are working, are affiliated based on it. So now the biggest challenge for all these institutes is the infrastructure, right? Like we discussed in my last question as well, right? Fund is again a big challenge over there. Mentors is again a big challenge over there. Pipeline itself is a big challenge. So all the four challenges, if you see, it's very difficult to provide all these kind of things to each institutes over there. And that's where the sharing model of resources come into the picture. Let's say if we have a hub into a region, let's say out of 50 institutes, 10 becomes the hub, and the next 5 become the spoke for it. And then this will basically help us to bring out a good regional entrepreneurship model over there. So what happens? All these spokes will be basically reporting out to their hubs. They will be contributing, or they'll be getting out good support from the hub, and government, or let's say the sustainability model, can get executed over there. Government can put much support into the hubs, or let's say hub itself can put much support over there. As a startup, if I have any query, I'll be basically working out from the spoke model. But as and when I need something, I can go over there. So this is basically a form of collaboration, if you say. This is basically a MOU or a partnership between two different organizations, or let's say set of 5 or 10 different organizations. So this is basically a mechanism of networking, collaborating to basically foster the regional entrepreneurship model over there.
Yeah, we have one more other question. It is also mine. Sir, what kind of business incubation accepted? Because we have students making different of projects, and they want want to convert that project in a business model. So how student will know this model can be converted into my business?
So Ayush, again, this is very interesting question.
Yeah.
When I see student, for example, in my graduation time period, in 2010 and 2012, we used to have the final year engineering projects, right? In their academic institutes also, there might be a policy. Students usually go with minors and majors, right? And that's where major of the startup ideas comes majorly, because most of the startups which are coming from institutes are basically based on the tech ideas. Why? Because we have been working on tech heavily, right? As an engineering student, we are making technological projects, and that's where I feel that yes, this can be converted into a potential business. But but again, the scalability is a big challenge over there. I might have a good tech product over there, But when I go in front of an incubation, it is possible that I'm told that scalability is not a big factor over there. So from that angle also, it's very important to understand if my business or if my idea can be converted into a business, right? That's one part of it. But the second question is what kind of businesses as an incubation center I can accept, right? Of course, I can accept any XYZ segment over there. It can be from A to Z. But the important question is what kind of support I can give to them. If let's say I'm a deep tech incubator or I'm a fintech based incubator, can I provide the support to an agri-tech startup? It's of course not possible, right? Even if I have one or two mentors from the agri domain, it's again not possible. If my incubator is based on fintech, definitely I need to check out if the idea is having something related to the fintech or not. So it's basically goes with the resource alignment first angle. Second is from the team side. If let's say my team is not having that capacity or that capability which can support these ideas, it's again irrelevant over there, right? So definitely it's more on the side what kind of support we can give them. The idea side, we definitely can support any kind of idea, be it early stage or let's say revenue making body or something like that. But usually as an incubation, we define it in three angles. One is pre-incubation, another one is incubation program, third one is the accelerator program. So based on these three categories, we usually accept the applications process over there, the application registrations from the startup side. And then we define out, okay, if I have a batch of, let's say, a capacity of taking out 20 startup for my early stage startup, I cannot take more than that over there, right? So based on all these segments, we usually define that if I have to take this idea or not, if I have to pass this startup to any other incubator, maybe to any other spoke or let's say to any other hub, or let's say to any other incubator of the country. So these kind of things usually, goes over there. But from the business angle, it definitely should have a possibility of scalability. It is not something like only about the innovation. If you remember one of the slides which I talked about, the difference between the startup businesses and the research is huge, right? So it should not be just an innovation, but we definitely should have a proper strategy of execution as well over there. And then the incubation works for the startups. Means, of course, we want to talk about businesses, but majorly incubation came into picture to support the early stage startups, not to support the businesses, right? And there is a huge difference, means very, very minute difference between a startup and business over there. Yeah, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, if anyone have any question, so please put it on a chat box. Yeah, okay, sir. I think that's all. Thank you so much, Mukesh, sir. Thank you so much for the accepting our request in a very short time and share our valuable views with our students and the faculties regarding the incubations. We will touch with you regarding the incubations in future also, and we hope my students will get help how to get incubated for our projects. And thank you so much for all the supports that we got by you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ayush. It's a pleasure, and I'll be more than happy to support in all possible way on professional as well as personal capacity. Headstart do have very good network in Bhopal. We have a Bhopal chapter as well. I definitely must say that if you have anything, feel free to connect with me or with them. I will be more than happy to support.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, all the students, all the faculties, for attending this event, for a valuable time, for giving the valuable time. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.